I think it's important that we acknowledge that this isn't just Hollywood. This is so much more global, and it's not just, oh, guess what? This is what's happening to women suddenly. This has been happening since the beginning of time, but now people are finally talking about it.
I can tell you this, anyone that can provide evidence in this case is going to be deposed.
That's Taylor Swift.
She was there for that meeting.
Okay, well, I'm a lawyer. I know what that means.
Taylor Swift's team is now coming out swinging, and that is super interesting. An article just dropped about Taylor Swift is alleging that Blake Lively is lying, but is Taylor telling the truth, or is this just a strategy to save her own skin? And Blake Lively's PR team wants us to know that everything that's happening right now is hurting Blake's feelings. Blake Lively sources say Justin Baldoni lawsuit is causing her and Ryan Reynolds severe anguish. In that article, we're told that Blake Lively is quote unquote emotionally zapped, but she remains confident nonetheless. And the legal battles have apparently, quote, taken a deep emotional toll on the actress. You know, someone asked me recently why this particular case has seized the world. It was just a perfect act of evil that was almost executed in broad daylight. The press was complicit. They almost got it done. This guy would have done, canceled nothing. What would have happened to Justin Baldoni? He would have been canceled. Taylor Swift is now fighting back hard. Her team is not pulling any punches over the last 12 hours. And there's an article that just got dropped in TMZ about an hour and a half ago, and they're making it clear that she wants nothing to do with this case. She's calling out Blake Lively for lying, okay? In other words, Taylor had no idea there was a meeting going on with Justin. She was introduced to him for the first and only time. Taylor believes Blake timed her meeting with Justin so Taylor would arrive before he left. And there's more. Taylor is also learning that Blake has been inappropriately leveraging her name for a long time. Like, so is it possible that they use her name that when she's not there and she's not aware? Sure. I think Taylor Swift is lying. Here's an element where I believe she's just flat out caught lying, okay? At one point, to feature her song, she got somebody fired. That is the allegation that is made, and she's curiously not responding to that. And I do also want to say this. Smartest move that Brian Freeman could make is to put her on the stand. It's the last thing that Blake and Ryan want, is to have their major A-list fan that they have been using to threaten people behind the scenes suddenly put on the stand and exposed. It would be such a inglorious end to their...
Believe it or not, two of Hollywood's most inseparable allies, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively, may soon be standing on opposite sides of a courtroom. At the heart of the storm is a high-stakes lawsuit entangling actor-director Justin Baldoni, with whispers that Taylor could be called to testify against her longtime friend. What began as a private conflict has erupted into a full-blown spectacle, blindsiding even the most jaded Hollywood insiders. A bond once defined by unwavering loyalty now hangs by a thread as legal pressure mounts. If Blake refuses to settle, Taylor risks being pulled into the chaos, forced to choose between loyalty, reputation, and the very real weight of legal consequence. The drama is no longer behind closed doors. It's a public battle with careers, friendships, and legacies on the line.
Internalize that as opportunity. We had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yes.
As someone who is so deeply passionate myself, I was so excited about that. I would so much rather have that than people who are indifferent.
Why is this clash a true fight for justice, or just another round of headline chasing in an industry where publicity often outweighs talent? That question now fuels the frenzy, as the public watches to see whose reputation will survive intact. For years, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively embodied the ideal Hollywood friendship, a beacon of loyalty in a world defined by rivalry. From glowing social media tributes to dazzling red carpet appearances, their bond was praised as rare and genuine. But in an arena where allegiances shift overnight, even the strongest ties can unravel. Under the weight of money, power, and perception, allies can become adversaries, transforming a once unshakable friendship into a ruthless battle of strategy, influence, and survival.
Anyone that can provide evidence in this case is going to be deposed.
That's Taylor Swift.
She was there for that meeting.
Okay, well, I'm a lawyer. I know it.
Justin Baldoni has long been regarded as one of Hollywood's most principled voices, a performer who rose to fame in Jane the Virgin and later cemented his reputation as a director and producer devoted to meaningful, socially conscious storytelling. His body of work champions underrepresented voices and tackles difficult themes, earning him a reputation built on authenticity and creative integrity. But that same commitment has now drawn him into a bitter clash with Blake Lively. Sources say the spark came from one of Justin's upcoming projects, though the specifics remain cloaked in secrecy, guarded by non-disclosure agreements and ongoing negotiations. What is undeniable, however, is that this lawsuit cuts deeper than money or ego. It's a struggle over artistic vision, professional principles, and ultimately, who has the power to control Hollywood's narrative.
That people and humanity are inherently good. And they crave nutritious food in their soul, just as they do in their...
Whispers around Hollywood suggest that Blake Lively took an unusually strong interest in one of Justin Baldoni's upcoming projects, an interest that may have crossed the line from collaboration into control. Defenders of Blake insist her intentions were harmless, that she merely wanted to refine her role and ensure the script connected with modern audiences. But those in Justin's camp tell a different story, that Blake pushed aggressively for rewrites, character shifts, and even marketing changes designed to spotlight her personal brand rather than preserve the integrity of the narrative. If true, her actions strike at the heart of Justin's creative philosophy, which prizes collaboration without surrendering artistic vision to star power. What might have been a routine Hollywood back and forth spiraled quickly into something far more volatile. Lawyers stepped in, and rumors swirled that Blake was quietly leveraging her influence to bend the production to her will. A conversation about art had become a public clash over power, integrity, and who truly calls the shots in Hollywood.
Tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But we're thinking of keeping her.
Does she like play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of like pretends to play with her. So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her, and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps.
According to Hollywood Whispers, Blake Lively may have crossed a dangerous line by invoking Taylor Swift's name during discussions about Justin Baldoni's project, allegedly using their friendship as leverage. Insiders claim she hinted that her ties to Taylor could open doors, boost publicity, or intimidate anyone who stood in her way. Whether this was a calculated tactic or a reckless slip remains unclear, but it immediately drew the attention of Justin's legal team. The idea that Taylor could be used as a bargaining chip without her consent is precisely why the pop icon may now be dragged into court. Lawyers are reportedly combing for evidence that Blake tried to strong-arm Justin by exploiting her A-list connections. If Taylor has direct knowledge of conversations, pressures, or backroom maneuvers, her testimony could prove pivotal. Subpoena threats are never made lightly, and Justin's team wouldn't consider it unless they believed Taylor held information that could alter the verdict. What may have started as casual name-dropping has escalated into a potential legal turning point, one that exposes the fraught intersection of celebrity power, accountability, and high-stakes Hollywood maneuvering.
Just tracking him down, and then finally got to read the script, and the script was a thriller. So that was a little confusing to me because he's like such a funny director.
Yeah.
And so I said, what is this? Because the script is definitely like a twisting, turning, intense thriller. Is it a comedy or a thriller? And he said, yes. So then every day on set, I was like, is today a comedy or is it a thriller?
It's a good mix
and
of both.
It's like really kind of over the top and campy and trashy and fun and like, kind of like my...
Fans are beginning to question why Taylor Swift, a figure long admired for defending her friendships with unwavering loyalty, has become linked to this controversy at all. That is precisely what makes the story so gripping. Taylor has carefully built a global brand rooted in authenticity, moral conviction, and loyalty to her inner circle. But the stakes here are unusually high. Public testimony or even casual comments could pull her into a legal battle where private conversations might be exposed. Insiders suggest Taylor is intentionally staying neutral, avoiding statements that could entangle her in a courtroom conflict or force her to take sides in a feud between people she was once close to. Blake Lively, however, has not taken the quiet route. Her team has positioned her as emotionally, professionally, and psychologically wronged, claiming she has endured harassment and manipulation that go far beyond creative disagreements. Yet, despite such heavy accusations, no emails, texts, or recordings have surfaced to verify her story, leaving many to wonder if Blake is shaping a narrative to gain public sympathy. Critics whisper that this could be part of a broader PR strategy, casting her as the victim while painting Justin Baldoni as controlling. Whether truth or spin, the framing matters. In Hollywood, perception can be just as powerful as legal arguments. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds, usually known for his humor and charitable charm, has remained outwardly silent. Sources describe him as privately frustrated but supportive, wary of how a messy public fight could damage the family's carefully crafted image. Against this backdrop, Taylor Swift's silence continues to spark endless speculation, highlighting how the court of public opinion may prove just as consequential as the courtroom itself. Normally, celebrities rally around their friends during public crises, often posting supportive messages or issuing official statements. Taylor Swift, however, has done neither. Her silence is striking. Some interpret it as a sign of hurt or frustration, perhaps over Blake allegedly invoking her name without consent. Others believe her legal advisors have urged neutrality to prevent her from being dragged into the dispute. Yet if a subpoena arrives, silence will no longer be an option. Taylor would be legally obligated to testify, highlighting how this situation stretches far beyond the scope of a typical Hollywood feud. Justin Baldoni, meanwhile, has positioned himself firmly on the opposite end of the spectrum. He has repeatedly emphasized that his case rests on tangible evidence, not spin. Sources claim he has compiled emails, voice notes, and private communications that document Blake's alleged attempts to exert undue influence over the production. Known for his commitment to purposeful storytelling rather than publicity stunts, Justin's calm, deliberate approach contrasts sharply with the tabloid frenzy surrounding the case. For him, this battle is not simply about financial stakes, it is about protecting creative control, reputation, and the delicate balance of power in Hollywood, where perception can be just as decisive as talent. That Justin, often described as a thoughtful and compassionate figure in the industry, has chosen to take the fight into court suggests he sees a principle worth defending. His team insists he is determined to safeguard creative integrity, even if it means challenging an A-list actress in a very public arena. This decision raises the stakes dramatically. If Blake refuses to settle, Taylor Swift is reportedly all but guaranteed to be subpoenaed. And this is no rumor. Justin's legal team has openly hinted at the possibility. For Blake, that threat is chilling. If one of the most influential artists in the world, and once one of her closest friends, testifies against her, it could dismantle her carefully constructed narrative of victimhood. Her claims of harassment and emotional distress would lose credibility, and worse, her personal bond with Taylor could be permanently fractured. In the unforgiving theater of Hollywood, such a betrayal, played out on the world stage, might never be repairable. This clash raises a larger question about Hollywood's culture of power. For decades, A-list stars have wielded enormous influence, often demanding script rewrites, threatening to walk off projects, or pushing directors to shape stories around their strengths. Studios, knowing that star power could make or break box office success, usually gave in. Justin Baldoni's refusal to bend, even at the risk of a very public showdown with Blake Lively, signals a potential shift. Should he prevail in court and win public sympathy, it could embolden directors, producers, and writers to resist star-driven interference. If Blake emerges victorious, however, the message will be clear. Hollywood's status quo remains intact, with top actors free to dominate the creative process unchallenged. At the center of this cultural storm lies the fractured friendship between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Once celebrated as one of Hollywood's most enviable bonds, filled with vacations, glowing public praise, and constant online camaraderie, the relationship now appears strained. Fans have noticed the silence. No social media exchanges, no birthday shoutouts, no enthusiastic endorsements. The absence might be explained away as busy schedules, yet the timing aligns too closely with the lawsuit to ignore. Rumors that Blake invoked Taylor's name without consent may have left Taylor feeling blindsided and betrayed. In an industry where trust is fragile and every move is magnified, such a rupture can be nearly impossible to mend. For Taylor, the stakes are uniquely high.